What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of On the Bluff. I'm your host, Christian Fowler. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Gabe Kuhn. And Gabe, I'm going to start you off with a little two-parter. A, how was the weekend? B, how was the first day back at the 92.9 studio?
Oh, shit, yeah. Weekend good. No complaints. Hung in the house. We did lose our power randomly. I don't know what it is. Over here in East Memphis off Colonial, we just randomly lost power for 4 hours. So we did have to move the us and the baby over to a neighbor's house for a little bit. Because Kenny can attest to this. Taking care of an infant with no power is not a realistic proposition, especially during the nighttime. It's just not. You can't do it. You have to have like a noise machine. You have to have all these things working for you. The bottle warmer, the water heater, all this stuff.
Can't be pitch black and silent.
Yes. So okay weekend. And then the first day back, dude, it was weird going back. It is 100% not surprised MLGW sucks. Yes, producer is correct on that. But yeah, it was weird, man. Like I was talking to David Cobb today, who just had his baby girl a week before we had Myers, and I was like, it's like your career before kid and career after kid. Like you're just not doing the same things during the day. You're not able to maneuver as easily. So it was an adventure, but it was fun getting back in the saddle, man. I hadn't done it in a while. I had a little butterflies almost, man. Like it was my first day on the job. I've been off for 5 weeks. Like that feels like an eternity. That's a month and some change. It was nuts. But what about you? How are you doing, man? How was the beach this time of year? You go to the beach year round, brother.
I do.
Doesn't matter from winter, fall, spring, summer. You're at the beach. You're somewhere in Florida.
Yeah, this year I think I went in June or July, and then December, January. So a lot of beach trips. But this one was really good. It was a family trip. We just got away for about a week and chilled, relaxed, ate good food. Really no hustle and bustle at the beginning of the year. You kind of just get to chill, like I said, relax. Not really many tourists down there. Beach is pretty empty. Restaurants are pretty empty. So it's to me, it's like the best time to go because it's 70, 75 degrees, cool at night, like in the 50s at night. It's just perfect time.
What was your New Year's plans? What'd you do?
We didn't do anything. I was ready to go to bed at like 10 o'clock. And
what an overrated holiday, brother. Seriously. What an overrated celebration.
Yeah.
If you didn't do shit during 2024, you ain't going to do shit in 2025. You don't start anew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's always my biggest pet peeve in the world. Like the first 2 weeks of the new year, people getting into the gym. It's like, man, just go eat the KFC you were eating before. And
not going to change it.
Bug off, man. Like the regulars will still be here. In 3 weeks, you won't.
Yeah, no, it's always been kind of weird to me too. It's kind of like the way, I don't know if you remember this conversation we had it a long time ago, but it's about like people that freak out over their birthdays and stuff like that. To me, New Year's feels
like when people have the same birthday.
Yeah,
isn't that's a Tom Segura skit?
Yes,
Tom Segura bit. He's like, oh my god, we have the same birthday.
We're 10 days apart.
Oh my god.
But that's how I feel about it. Like the same way, like when people overhype their birthdays and like, oh, it's a birthday month, and oh my gosh, can't wait for my birthday.
Hey, I'm turning 30 though. In 2025, I get to celebrate that one.
This is what we said with that conversation. Milestones are different. Milestones are okay, but at the end of the day, like just like going into the new year, it's just the next day. Like nothing's really changing except when you write the year down, it's a new year. That to me, that's it. So
I gotta ask you this: since you're younger, is 30 a happy milestone or a sad milestone?
I would say for most people, especially nowadays, people are like terrified of 30. I think it's gonna be great. Like I can't wait for it. I can't wait for 30, 40, all the decades. Keep getting older. Like to me, everybody's like, oh my gosh, I'm not 20 anymore. I can't be crazy and wild.
Yeah, if you want to. Shit.
Yeah. And if you know me, that's not really my style anyway. So it doesn't have any effect on me.
You can be crazy at any age, dude. Look at Skip Bayless and Fox Sports right now. I mean,
you're right.
You can be wild shit at any age. I promise you.
Yeah, I still got 3
Hey,
years, but
that story is fucking insane. I'm sorry to open up the show on this,
yeah.
but that Fox Sports story is insane. For those that haven't seen it, there's a former hairstylist alleging Skip Bayless of paying $1.5 million to have sex with her.
And what did he say? He could change her life?
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Oh, that's
Are
crazy.
you insane? He was making like racist comments.
Insane.
And then
$1.5 million.
then there's the Joy Taylor allegations where it's like she had sex with the exec at Fox to get her positions. Like, God dang. There was also, I saw this was a new one because I had to open up the full report. Apparently, this hairstylist alleges that Fox Sports kept an employee employed because he was their cocaine dealer.
Oh my God. I didn't
Like,
see that one.
holy shit.
But I mean, like when you look at
What's going
the Fox Sports like cast of characters, it's really not that surprising. I mean, you got Skip,
Yeah.
Shannon, Paul Pierce, who's been a live wire, Michael Irvin, Jason
Keyshawn's there.
Whitlock, Keyshawn Johnson. Like it's a pretty
Acho. Emmanuel
yeah,
Acho.
Emmanuel Acho. Emmanuel Acho is probably like the most tame out of all of them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild. And then you got Nick Wright, who's a joke, but it's a pretty wild cast of people. So it's not like, it is surprising because you don't hear stuff like this come out about media teams. But if there was going to be one that it came out about, this is kind of the least surprising of it.
That is the thing. It's like people are so focused on the Joy Taylor thing, like sleeping your way to the top, like that type of thing. And everybody's ignoring the fact that Skip Bayless allegedly paid $1.5 million for sex from a hairstylist.
Because it's not.
Because it's like, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, of course he did. We
know. Completely on brand.
What's his wife's name? Ernestine? What about Ernestine? I wonder what she's saying to him at the crib right now.
I don't know, but I bet he's taking it and not like a champ.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, Gabe, let's move on from crazy media teams to the University of Memphis basketball team. They have officially started conference play. They're 2-0 now after smashing FAU and then surviving kind of a close one with North Texas. Looking at the conference, and I'm not going to get too ahead of myself here.
Don't start that way. Looking at the conference.
It's
horrible.
This is like two of Memphis's, if not Memphis's two most difficult games for the remainder of the year. And like I said, they handled FAU easily, winning that game by 28 points. And then North Texas, like it was a close game, but I don't know how you felt during it, but I never really felt like it was in doubt too much. Like Memphis always felt like they had control of that game.
Yeah. I feel the same way. And I saw some people freaking out about because metrics and, margin of victory comes into consideration at tournament time. I don't care that they won by 4 at home. It's fine. North Texas is the best net ranked team in the American outside of Memphis. FAU is the second best ranked team outside of Memphis in the net. They played their hardest 2 opponents to start the year. They beat 1 by 28 and 1 by 4 on their home floor. And the reason they played so close with North Texas is they are just like a dog of a team, man.
Right.
The style they play, whether it was Grant McCaslin or Ross Hodge now, they're just going to slow it down, play, the possession game and, limit your possessions. They're going to try to turn you over. They're going to play tight defense. They're going to limit the 3-point line, which Memphis has lived at so far this year. And sometimes you're just going to play games that are knock them down, drag them out games. And that's what that was. I don't think honestly, I felt better about their conference slate and what they can do in conference after this game because you got tested and you still held on. Yep. The PJ Haggerty 35-footer, though, at the buzzer to put them up 6 was nuts. Yeah. He had 27. I felt better about this because they didn't have their best performances from Tyrese Hunter and Colby Rogers and Musa and Nick Jourdain. Barely got anything out of the bench besides Dane Danger. And they still were able to make things happen. I think they forced the most turnovers from North Texas that North Texas has had all year. They were 3rd highest scoring team against North Texas all year. Like this game to me, while some people were saying, well, it was a close game at home against an inferior opponent, I was actually more positive about this game than most were.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to kind of piggyback on a point that you made about North Texas being one of those teams that, kind of wants to make it ugly, drag you into deep water and take advantage of mistakes and stuff like that. And just historically thinking about Penny Hardaway coach teams against those type of teams, they usually play really close games, which made this not surprising to people that really thought deeply or knew somewhat of what North Texas would try to do. But also, like you said, to see them respond and win this game, even though it wasn't their typical style and they had to slow down a little bit more and they had to, battle through some things a little bit more than they have for the majority of the season. To me, that's a great sign. Like, this is what we've talked about since the Arkansas State loss, is like, how do they look in some of those games, in those ugly, boring, low scoring games in conference. And I know this isn't Tulsa or Rice or Charlotte or one of those teams. Like, it's North Texas. It's the second best team in the conference according to the metrics. But I think that kind of gives you a hint of, okay, if they can do it in this environment and against this team, which is their best competition in the conference, and in this style, then we got to feel pretty good about them moving forward. So,
Right.
I mean, it's a stylistic matchup. It's the opposite of what Memphis wants to do, and it's always given Penny's teams trouble because it's a total switch up from what they typically see and want to do.
Yeah, because I mean, Virginia was similar to them, but that was 3 weeks ago at this point. Then
Right.
you had a team who can really get up and down in Mississippi State, team that can get up and down Ole Miss. FAU can do a little bit of that, or tries to do a little bit of that, but they failed miserably against this Tiger team. So it is that stylistic switch up. And I just think this team, like, I was trying to, in my head, think about last year's team, how they would have responded in a game like that. I think they would have folded like a cheap lawn chair.
Agreed.
Like, seriously, because I look at North Texas was 4 for 18 from 3. You can boost that percentage immediately with last year's team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were not going to – they didn't cover the three-point line worth a damn last year. And I also think about the fact that, like, offensively, outside of PJ Haggerty and Dane Danger a lot of the second half, there wasn't much going for Colby Rogers and Tyrese Hunter and Nick Jourdain and Musa. Like, their offense was struggling. And we've already talked about this. When the offense struggled last year, they didn't pick it up on the defensive end. You saw that in the second half. They struggled on the offensive end, but they started pulling the chain harder on the defensive end.
Yeah.
I was trying to relate this back to last year because we know how bad the start of conference play was for that team. I think that team would have lost this game probably running away. It would have been ugly by the end. Obviously, there's no way of telling that, but I guess I'm just trying to highlight the differences between this year's team and last year's team. I know people are growing tired of that, but I think we have to stack a couple more of these types of games on top of it before we can get away from what last year was.
Yeah, and another thing that you didn't mention with last year's team, if they came off a big win or an impressive win, a letdown was right behind it. So you think about, defeating Ole Miss handily, and then beating FAU by 28, and then like kind of getting drug into this weird stylistic ugly matchup. And I think you're 100% right. I think they would have folded, and it would have been like, oh my gosh, the last 2 games this was so easy, and now we're having to deal with this, and we just blew out FAU by 28, and now we're in this ugly mix it up game with North Texas.
I mean, also, like, look at what Penny said after the game. Like, he even made it very clear. He's like, I knew this was going to be a tight game.
Yeah.
Just because the style and everything else. But I'm impressed with where this team is at. Still 12-3. I mean, I looked it up before we got on the show because the net has updated 10-2 in the quads 1 and 2.
Yep.
I believe North Texas counts as a quad 2 win. So, I mean, it's all headed in the right direction. And there's a lot to like about this team, including the guy who's leading it all in PJ Haggerty. Good God, man. Like, I know we expect a lot out of him, and I know we expected him to be the top of the sort of pecking order here. But what he has done in taking it and running with it is impressive as hell. Because we had a lot of questions. Okay, from Tulsa to Memphis, there's more people around you. How do you respond to that? He has responded by 22, 5 rebounds, 3 assists per game. And his shooting splits are just absolutely bonkers. 50% from the field, 45% from three, and 85% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
And I just look back at our offseason question of, okay, how's this guy going to translate from Tulsa to Memphis in a more serious program? And he has just blown away every expectation, even though the expectations were already set high. I can't say enough about this guy. Guy is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's not to mention also 2 steals per game. So it's everywhere. And we've talked a lot about kind of the lack of size of this team and how would they make up for that. And we talked about that in the offseason before we even saw what this backcourt looked like in live action. And it just kind of goes back to something that we've said a million times when talking about college basketball. If you have a true superstar, you will be competitive more than likely. Like if there's anything tangible around them, you will be competitive and you will probably be one of the better teams in college basketball if you have a true superstar. And I think at this point, 15 games into the season,
sample size is enough, dude. I think we're there.
And I know people wouldn't have said it based off of last year at Tulsa, but factoring in last season at Tulsa, 15 games at Memphis against the competition that he's played against and what he's done in those games, and with the numbers that you mentioned, like he is, even though he's maybe not talked about as much as some of the other players in the sport, like he is one of the true superstars in college basketball who can take over and win a game by himself.
He is at this point, he's pacing himself onto a first team All-American team. Like that's what he's doing right now, probably unanimous. And I just had fun with this because I was just thinking about it before we came on. And like Wooden Award odds, I was just like, okay, where's he at? Now he's plus 7,500, not great odds. Like, right. I mean, that's a good value if you think he's going to win.
Yeah.
But he's 6th. He's behind Janai Broom, who's minus 240, by the way. That's that's that Oscar Sheboy Wooden Award. Cooper Flagg, Cam Jones, Chaz Lanier, Dylan Harper, then PJ Haggerty. So he's getting noticed by national media. He is clearly making his impression on Memphis fans, and I think he is deserving of everything coming his way, man. He is the engine that keeps this team going.
Yeah, and like you said, kind of starting this point off, it does make the offseason talk that some people had a little insane. And not that it was an unfair question of like, can he translate it? Can he be the lead guy at a more meaningful program that's playing much better competition and has much bigger aspirations than Tulsa? It wasn't an unfair question, but it does make those questions look silly now because of the way that he has just dominated. Just dominated. And of course, Tyrese Hunter's played really well. Colby Rogers, Dane Danger. He's got help. We're not saying that he's the only one on this team, but he is the one. Like he is the number one guy on this team. And for him to be able to come into a new program, into a completely different team, a team that's never played together outside of, with one returning player, this team has never played together, and have them sitting at 12-3 and, beating UConn and Michigan State and Ole Miss and winning some of these massive games, Clemson as well, winning some of these big games with a team that's hardly played together and being a guy who's a superstar coming from Tulsa in his second season. Like it really is pretty insane what he's been able to do 15 games in.
Well, here's the thing. Like, those are obvious. Those were fair questions. And obviously they look dumb now. But, like, there was never a world in which I thought he would improve his numbers.
Right.
Coming from Tulsa to Memphis.
Right.
He's 1 point per game higher. He's shooting the 3-point ball. Let's see. 16 percentage points better. He is shooting from the field 8 percentage point better. He's 49% last year. Still getting to the free throw line at almost the same clip. I mean, there was never a world where I thought he would come into this program with all these different players where he didn't have as much talent at Tulsa and be able to exceed the numbers he had at Tulsa. Right. That wasn't, I got to be honest, that wasn't on my bingo card. That was something I didn't think was really a possibility. I thought he'd sit there 18 points per game. Maybe his percentages went up. Maybe they didn't. But to have your 3-point percentage go up by 14 on a decent amount per game, I mean, he's putting up 3-4 per game.
Right.
More than he was at Tulsa. To have your shooting percentage in general go up, that wasn't to be fair to the people that were asking those questions, that was not a reality. That was something I counted out the minute I knew he committed to the university or signed to the University of Memphis.
Yeah, and it would be one thing if we got to the end of the year and those were his numbers just in conference play.
Right.
I don't think then it would have been super surprising because it's like, okay, it's the same teams that he did it against last year.
He's doing it against Michigan State. He's doing it against
but
UConn.
Exactly. He's done it against some of the
everybody.
top competition in the country and has Memphis sitting, at least resume-wise, as one of the best teams in the country. But speaking of conference play, speaking of what's on the horizon, real quick before we get into the Hot 3, I was actually looking, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I was kind of just running through the schedule on ESPN and clicking through and just looking at, what does the remainder of this conference schedule look like? Kind of unsurprisingly, Memphis is favored, according to ESPN's Basketball Power Index, to win every game from here on out. That's not very surprising. The lowest percentage they have to win a game is March 2nd at UAB. They have a 74.5% chance to win that game. That is their lowest percent chance to win a game for the remainder of the year. It's pretty absurd.
And to be fair, that'll probably go up by the time we get there because Andy Kennedy is pissing directly down his leg so far this year. I mean, I think he's a fine coach, but good God, they're 8-7. They're 1-1 in conference. They lost to this North Texas team, mind you. I can't believe they're as bad as they are. Now, I never thought they were going to be the best team in conference like they were picked by the coaches,
but a solid team.
Shit, man. Like, come on. They're in the 200s in the net. That is silly. It's absolutely silly.
Yeah, 100%. But like I said, it's not overly surprising, but it just kind of shows you once again what's ahead of this Memphis team.
So, next to nothing ahead of this Memphis team. They just have to win.
From
just
that
win.
Yeah, from that sense, yes. But I just mean as far as what's possible, like what the possibility is as far as seeding and putting themselves in a better position in the NCAA tournament than they've been able to in the past. Finally getting out of that 8-9 game and getting a favorable round one matchup.
That's the catch-22 of the whole thing, though, playing in this conference is right now I think they're a 5 seed in Joe Lunardi's bracketology, and they were trending up last I checked. But the whole problem with this is like, you look at the schedule and it's like, okay, they have 75% chance to win the rest of their games and every game that they're matched up with any team in the American Athletic Conference. But if you lose one of them, that could cost you a whole seed line damn near.
Good
in certain situations. So
depending on how bad
that's the catch-22. You have an easy remaining schedule, but that's held against you. That's the problem.
Yeah, margin for error is definitely smaller because.
But I will say this: the margin for error, they've built themselves a nice buffer.
Exactly.
Now, I will say last year they blew through that buffer quickly. But this year I don't feel that way. I think that they can. I feel good about the buffer they have with what they did in the out of conference.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we are going to take a quick break, and on the other side, we'll finally be all reunited once again. This happened like 2 weeks ago. Another couple weeks off. Gabe had a week out. I had a week out. So on the other side, Kenny will be back and bringing us the Hot 3.
You see, Dane, for me, is the biggest reason why I seriously doubt the Tigers have peaked at this point. Because if Memphis were at its peak right now, Dane would be averaging about 15 points a game. I mean, I think he needs more opportunities because he simply made the most of the limited chances that he's gotten. I mean, at the end of the day, this team is always going to have to be revolving around its guard play because that's where it's the talent and the personnel and the scheming is just that. But Dane is a pretty talented big man. He's a very, very special type of post scorer.
He's such a cerebral basketball player. He knows where everyone is on the floor. He's so good with his footwork. He can finish with both hands, right, left. It doesn't matter. If they're not turning the ball over, this is a really good offense, y'all, because they can score on multiple levels. They can score from three. They can score the mid-range. They can score in the paint.
Tune in to Tigers Live with Francis Carlotta, live after every Memphis Tiger basketball game on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
some of y'all done lost y'all goddamn mind when it comes down to GG Jackson, bro. A 6'9" athletic scoring machine guard. Did things that only Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordans of the world had done as a rookie, right? We watched him doing this in real time last season. And there are people saying that this guy won't be a rotation player. There's no need to make him a rotation player. Let him play in the G League. You know, young players come into the league and they're thrown into the fire, man. We've seen in this offense, Jalen Wells, who's a rookie, look good in this offense. Santi Aldama, who struggled a lot last year, looks good in this offense. Jake LaRavia looks good in this offense. What the hell do y'all think GG Jackson is going to look like in this offense, man? A 6'8", 6'9", athletic 3-4 you can throw the ball to him above the rim. He can knock down shots. He can get to the basket on his own. It's just a bunch of nonsense conversation, bro.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
What up, boys?
Kendall, what up, brother?
What up, guys? Everybody good? Hey, I'm just glad we're all back together.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get on a streak this time.
This feels good to me, man. Hey, Christian, you don't have a tan. You don't have a tan. Did you not sunbathe while you were at the beach?
Buddy, it's January.
UV rays are not super high this time of year.
Oh, well.
we could get him into like the Caribbean. He can still
Then I
sunbathe there.
could. Then I could.
That's
I got,
good.
maybe I got a
Florida
little
right
bit,
now.
not much.
I'm surprised it was even in the 70s.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Awesome.
Good for you, dude. Seriously, great for
Thanks.
you. Happy for you.
Thanks.
Are you guys a
Oh,
little
I'm
bit
blowing
concerned?
leaves here in Memphis in 30-degree weather.
Well, you know, it's like
Buddy,
it was like 26 degrees today, and it felt like it was 8 outside, man. It was freaking cold.
can I say this real quick? I have 2 trees, one in my front yard, one in my backyard. And they're still not done shedding their damn leaves.
It's January.
I'm waiting to pick up all the or to bring over, like, we have somebody come pick up the leaves, but I'm like blowing them. But every other day, more fall down. I'm like, dude, can somebody just shake this damn tree, both these trees, get all the damn leaves out of there? My
Hey,
gutters look like absolute shit right now. I mean, I am angry.
We spent Sayla and Silas and myself spent 4 or 5 hours out in our backyard on Saturday cleaning up leaves. And let me tell you, man, one of the joys in life is when your kids get old enough to start doing shit around the house. Like, it is awesome. I tell Tracy all the time, I'm like, we had babies for this reason. Like,
yeah, this is
so
what
that-
they're here for.
This is what they're here to do. They are here to do the work that me and you have been doing forever. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's not what they're there to do, but okay.
Gabe's
I mean, buddy, you spend $1 million on each kid. You know, they can
Yeah,
at least pick
right.
up a few damn leaves.
You can get some leaves.
Damn
No,
spoiled brats.
they
Jiggly
killed-
brats.
No, they killed it, man. They went out. They went out and they worked their tails off. I got them some ice cream. Sayla got herself a little Starbucks drink. It was good. It was a good day, man.
Starbs?
Saturday.
You got her Starbs?
Well, she likes the strawberry acai refresher with lemonade. That's her drink
Starbucks is such a damn ripoff, man.
with extra strawberries in it. She loves that.
Oh,
That's her
dude.
jam. Yeah, she'll
Starbucks
drink
not
that.
the biggest ripoff ever.
Don't come for Kenny's Starbucks like that.
No,
Well-
listen, they have good coffee. Overpriced shit for sure, but like,
That's why you got to be. That's why you got to be crazy like me and figure out how to make it at home. So like I have my French press, and so I do a French press
oh shit.
every single morning. Here's
Damn.
my routine: get up, get dressed, take the kids to school, go to the gym.
You're the one who you like pack it down and like do the
Oh, bro, I am.
knock it in.
I'm a genius with that
Yeah,
shit.
did you not know that Kenny does not play about coffee?
Dude,
at all.
I didn't.
He's
I
a
did
coffee
not.
guy.
I need to get a cup of Joe at the
I feel
household.
I fill this joint up with coffee and drink it throughout the day. Like I drink
Dude,
coffee all day.
We have an espresso. I thought I was fancy over here.
Yeah, I'm a French press guy, man. That's what I do. I get the whole beans.
Isn't that kind of
Everything.
labor intensive?
I got a grinder at home.
Intensive?
I got a grinder at home, and you just go tappity tap 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 tap. Get it
You
to
sure
the
it's
right.
not a grinder for anything else?
Tap, 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 tap. Yeah. I mean, sorry. Come on, Gabe, stop it, man. Don't besmirch my reputation.
I'm honestly taken aback by the fact that you're a French press owner, and like you probably take care of that thing like it's a newborn.
I clean it every
Like
single.
anybody with a French press is like,
Yeah.
so.
That's what I do. That's what I do. I love coffee. I drink coffee and I drink these.
I mean, when I drink coffee, 9 times out of 10, I'm drinking like community the at the office community coffee, which is just Folgers shit, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, it does.
But like, you can't do that.
No.
Like never.
I pack my
Coffee
so my French press goes with me everywhere I go. Yeah.
He's one of those.
If I get on vacation, I take my.
You're
French
a
press.
snob, Kenny.
I am a snob. I can't. I got.
How am I just now learning this? This is.
Listen. We learn new things. Guess what? Y'all were talking about being 30. I turned 44 yesterday, and that
Happy birthday.
is a birthday, bro. 44, man. 44.
Old
I'm
man.
old. I'm an old ass individual.
It's nice. There's nothing wrong with it.
I was gonna say something, but I don't want to.
You say it. I've heard
I
it.
don't-
Tracy
no,
said
I don't
it
say
today.
it.
I'm sure Tracy said it already today.
I mean, like,
already-
okay, statistically.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk statistically. You've lived more life than you're gonna live.
Oh, 100%.
Way.
I have that thought quite a bit, and it is relatively scary. It's not ideal for me.
Well,
Other
you could
than-
live to be 400. I don't know. I mean, you could go in the Guinness Book of World Records. Who knows?
I could. Probably not, but I could. Yeah. Anyway,
I hope you do.
y'all ready to get to the. I hope I do too. Actually, I don't, man. I don't.
No,
want
Yeah,
to.
no, I don't. Yeah, I think that's why I honestly. So another sidebar. I had a conversation with my buddies this weekend about that. Believe it or not, that's kind of funny.
What it's like the ideal? Because I don't know if I really want to
I
make it
think
like
it gets to the 80s, kick the bucket. Like, get
Yeah,
to the
exactly.
80s, kick the bucket. I think
You
I'm
think
good.
80? I think 80s is good. I think 80s is a good number, right? Like 70s, you're still kicking.
Yeah.
60s, you're good. My dad's 67 years old now. Like, I mean, he's like, and I'm like, he's still in great shape for. I mean, so
Hell,
people think 67 is
my mom turns 70 here in
yeah
5 days. So well,
crazy.
in 5 days when this comes out.
You let me hit 80, and I'm perfectly happy with
I'm good.
whatever else
Yeah.
happens after that. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, but then like living to the hundreds, that's tough. That's
no
tough.
way I would ever want to
Sister
do
Jean style, that would be.
Mm-mm.
I mean, damn.
Nope.
You outlive a
would
lot
be
of your family at that point. That'd
Yeah.
be brutal. All right, so
That would mean if I
Right.
live to be 100, that means Sailor would be 70 when I. Oh, that freaked me out. Woo!
that. See, that's a lot of life left if you live.
Yeah, exactly. So in other words, fuck that.
Dude, that honestly made my heart go like 70. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. All right. I'm done. All right, let's get to the hot three while I have a heart attack and die at 44. Woo! All right, there's some big rumors going around, boys, about the Memphis Grizzlies. There's been a lot of the Grizzlies have been involved in more trade talks and trade rumors than I think I've ever heard them.
For real.
More teams are saying the Grizzlies are talking. It makes you feel like something's happening. Well, the newest rumor is that Jimmy Butler is being pursued by the Memphis Grizzlies. There are a few, and there's been some like national media people that have said, "Hey, here are the trade packages that are being put together." One of them includes Desmond Bane, which is a big X to me. Absolutely not. The other one is one that has Luke Kennard, Brandon Clark, John Conchar, and some
And Marcus Smart, yeah.
and Marcus Smart. Thank you. Yep.
And then draft compensation.
and some draft compensation as well. Guys, what are your thoughts, man? Like, there's been. I want to frame it this way. Jimmy is leaving Miami in a very ugly way right now, right? There's a lot of thought processes around, like, do we want a 35-year-old Jimmy Butler on this team who is leaving everywhere he's gone in negative ways. There's also other sides to it. Where do y'all stand on this? Should Memphis fans get on board with the Jimmy Butler potential trade to Memphis?
It's a tough one. We talked about it a little bit pre-show, and it really is. It's a tough conversation because you can do exactly what Kenny just said. I think you can make an argument either way. I genuinely think I fall on the side of it's probably better not to happen, and it's for what Kenny said. Like, you look at Jimmy Butler and all the places that he's went, and there have been good moments.
Minnesota, Philadelphia, Miami.
There have been good moments, but it always ends ugly. Like, it doesn't end pretty. And yes, I know in Miami, like, he took him to the finals, and he's had some incredible playoff runs in Miami. But with the core that you have, especially if you have to give up something like Desmond Bane, like Kenny said, that's a big X. That's a big no way. You do not do that. But even if you're giving up, tertiary pieces and some of the guys lower on the depth charts and draft compensation, I go back to this anytime we talk about trades and anytime we talk about changing a lineup, whether it's at the collegiate level or at the professional level, you do not know what's going to happen in that locker room. You have no idea. And so it could err on the side of, look, if you go get Jimmy Butler, like, this is a championship team. Or you could go get Jimmy Butler and the roster could look extremely talented, but the pieces don't fit. It doesn't work. Guys are unhappy in the locker room, and it blows up in your face. And so to me, especially in a situation like this, when you have a successful team, the Grizzlies have been kind of going back between the 2 and the 3 seed in the West. It's like, do you really even want to have the possibility of this blowing up in your face, especially with how young the core of this team is and how good the core of this team is? Is it really something that you want to risk? And that's kind of where I fall with it.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, if there's a Desmond Bane package, throw it out. You're not doing the deal. If there's a Jaren Jackson thought, no, you're not doing the deal.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is
the only thing that I can even realistically say okay to is that Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, John Conchar draft compensation. Like, that's the only type of package that would make sense that I can actually get behind or even slightly get behind. But I'm going to take this a little differently because, everybody has picked a side.
Yeah,
quite frankly, in the Grizzlies fan base. I know this is an opinion show and an opinion business that we're in. I got to tell you, I'm right in the middle.
Squarely.
I think from a basketball perspective, Jimmy Butler is great. He seems great for this team. Defense has always been a specialty of his. He seemingly, when everything's going good, and I'll get to the con part of this thing, when things are going well, he's got some good leadership. He's a guy you can follow. He can really boost your half-court offense. We saw that with the Heat. The Heat had shitty offense, and they still made it to 2 finals with him because guess what? When times got tough, this guy's getting off the bounce, hitting it from the mid-range, doing that type of thing. He's not a big three-point shooter. He's only taken 1.5 per game this year when he's been playing. But he can get to the mid-range, get to his spots, and he is automatic at times when he is on. So, and he's also got the playoff experience. So, I can see where, hey, this makes sense. Now, on the flip side of it, I want to say this, and you've already kind of referred to this. It's never actually worked out with Jimmy Butler in any place he's been. Okay, you get to a couple finals with the Heat when you shouldn't have been there. But you got blown out of those series. They never were particularly close. You were a massive underdog. And you got through a bad Eastern Conference in those situations. It's never actually worked out, and he's pissed off everybody. He's burnt all these bridges along the way. Also, and these are probably the more important parts to this, I said the basketball side works out, but the financial and the age disparity don't make sense. He's 35, going to be 36. He's got $48 million due to him this year, 52 on a player option next year. And you have Jaren's extension coming up that you're going to pay. You're paying $305 million to Desmond Bane. Ja's on a max. You bring in Jimmy Butler as a rental and potentially sign him again. Your tax implications, like you're going straight in the luxury tax, and you're going to have to pay a shit ton out of pocket.
And your
that could
ability
be a disaster in itself. And there's no guarantee that Jimmy Butler makes this team. I mean, you look at the Thunder and the Mavs and all. I mean, not the Mavs, but like the Rockets are pretty good this year.
No, the Mavs, when they get Kyrie and
but like
Luka,
you look at all these different teams around the West, and it's like, is Jimmy Butler actually like? Are you guaranteeing your spot in the Western Conference Finals if you bring in Jimmy Butler?
Right.
Like that's how I would have to rationalize it to myself. So like I'm in the middle. I think it makes sense. I'm not going to be bent out of shape though if they don't pursue this as much as it says they are. So like I know it's an opinion business. I am so in the middle. I see it on both sides. 100%.
I agree.
Can I ask y'all? Let me ask y'all. Let me bring up 3 questions for y'all to kind of spur the conversation on even more. Christian, you mentioned a few minutes ago that he's burned a lot of bridges everywhere he's gone. And yes, that is 1000% true. Does it change your mind that Jimmy Butler is not coming in to be a culture setter at Memphis? The fact is they have their core 3, they have their guys, they have their culture in place. And Jimmy Butler is coming in to be a part of that and to build.
It's not him, though. No.
But that's not Jimmy Butler.
He has to be a culture setter. That's what you're going. I know exactly what you're going to say, Christian. Sorry to take the words. That's who he has to be.
Yeah, and that kind of goes in line with other issues that I have with it. Is that Jimmy has to be like the superstar, the forefront. He is kind of the
vocal leader.
He's the identity. He's the identity of every team that he's been on. And so
actually just the Heat, because when he wasn't the identity of the other teams, he's like,
he
get
left.
the hell out of here.
Exactly. And that's what I was about to say. So you contrast what he did in Miami and what he did in Philly. In Miami, they didn't have anybody else to be the face of the franchise. They didn't have anybody else to be the identity. So it was kind of a natural lead-in for him to do that and take it over and have the success that he had. In Philly, with Joel Embiid and some of the other players there, and Ben Simmons was there at the time, with that happening, it did not work, and it blew up quickly because he couldn't kind of force himself into being the forefront and being the identity of the team. And I have concerns that it would be similar with the Grizzlies because you have pillars there that are already in place that have set the culture of kind of this. I don't know. Y'all kind of tell me what you think, but the Grizzlies are kind of like fun-loving vibes.
Sure.
And Jimmy has that at times, but then he also has like that ultra-aggressive seriousness, causing drama. And outside of off-the-court stuff, like with Ja and that kind of stuff, we haven't seen a lot of drama within this team, and I think Jimmy just incites a lot of that, or could potentially incite a lot of that.
I think he's a really strong personality. So everywhere he goes, like he doesn't accept taking a back seat from a leadership perspective. Like that's just not, it's not him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the problem. That's the problem you've seen everywhere he's gone. So like, I think the culture is set in Memphis. That's why the disruptor of the culture conversation is so prevalent, is because you like the culture they have now.
Right.
I don't think it needs tweaking. I don't think it needs switching right this second.
And there's no question
there's a guy who will necessitate some type of, whether it's minor or major switches behind the
something
scene.
will change.
Do y'all think though that if we take a look at that package that Gabe mentioned, not the Desmond Bain package because that's a non-starter.
Yeah. Marcus Smart, Brandon Clark,
Luke
Kennard, John Conchar, draft compensation.
The Grizzlies, I feel like in a lot of ways, these are my pros for it. You talked about the financial aspects of it, the implications of it. Much smarter people than I can talk about that kind of stuff because they understand the CBA and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is just, I don't care.
Smart, but can I say this? I'm smart enough to know not to do what like the Suns did.
Yeah,
where you have all these badass contracts and you're still 15 and 18. You know what I mean? Right. That's what I want to avoid for like the Grizzlies, where you're paying a premium for a roster that can't win a championship. You don't want to do that.
And then prohibiting your ability in the following years at 5 through 10. at building the rest of your roster because of
that's. I'm speaking in very like general terms about the tax implications.
Do y'all think that? So, like, if you look at that package, you look at the players that would be switching, and it definitely feels like the two main players that the Grizzlies would be losing would be Marcus and would be Brandon Clark.
Yeah.
Right. Marcus basically kind of fulfilling when he's available and healthy, playing that third guard role, that, you know, the defender, the lockdown guy, the veteran leadership. You switch that with Jimmy Butler, who's a bigger, better shooter, has the leadership quality, intangibles, those kinds of things, the playoff, you know, experience that nobody else on the Grizzlies have to that level. Obviously losing Brandon is one thing, but do you think that the Grizzlies are a better team with Jimmy Butler instead of Marcus Smart?
I mean, if it was a 1-for-1 switch.
Yeah, I think strictly,
If it was a 1-for-1 switch, yeah, but I think it just becomes more complicated.
I mean, so if you look at the lineup that they would bring out, it would be Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Jimmy Butler, Jaren Jackson Jr., Zach Edey in the playoffs.
Nuts.
That's nuts, right? Like, that's nutty.
But there's a reason sometimes that stuff doesn't
But then
work.
now you have Marcus Smart and Brandon Clark gone. Your bench thins out. Luke Kennard's not shooting threes for you off the bench. Now,
He ain't going to play.
You have Vince Jr. and Scottie Pippen Jr. and Gigi Jackson on the men. Like, I guess you can get – it's just –
It's tough, dude. It's tough.
It
is.
I am so in the middle on this thing. If he gets traded to the Grizzlies, probably talk myself into it.
Are you going to talk yourself into it? Yeah.
Yeah. If he doesn't, I'll be the same way I am right this second. Feeling
if you had to guess, let's say we wake up in the morning and the reports are Jimmy Butler is now a Grizzly. What is the main point of emphasis that will be going through your brain that will make this work in your head? That will convince you that, hey, they made a good choice and this is going to look
defense shot maker. Bam.
Yeah.
There you go. You have you
playoff experience,
playoff success. You know, like there's a lot to like about Jimmy Butler, but the player, you know, like the fit he would be with the Grizzlies, but then you just break down all of the other implications and you're just like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, is it? Because if you make this move, you are tying your hands together to a certain extent from a roster affordability standpoint. And if you traded for Jimmy Butler and it guaranteed you a Western Conference Finals and getting through the Western Conference Finals into an NBA championship, I'd say, yeah, go for it. Do it.
Yeah.
But that's not how this thing works. That's never how this works.
Yeah.
I mean, the freaking Thunder are 30-5. You have some damn good basketball teams in the Western Conference.
Absolutely. All right. Topic number 2. Let's move on from Jimmy Butler. We could literally talk about that for a while because I think all of us are kind of split. I was out on it 2 days ago, and then I talked myself into it 2 days ago. So it's like, anyway, let's move on. NFL playoffs, boys. The best time of the year is here, baby. The NFL playoffs. All right, we got to go through this, man. AFC playoff seeding: number 1, Kansas City Chiefs; number 2, Buffalo Bills; number 3, Baltimore Ravens; 4, Houston Texans; 5, Los Angeles Chargers; 6, Pittsburgh Steelers; 7, Denver Broncos.
7 Denver Broncos.
Who are you most surprised
out Gabe Kuhn. He told you in the preseason after Bo Nix was being efficient with the football. He told you they were a Bo Nix away from being a 10-win team. Just remember what Gabe Kuhn told you in the preseason. Don't remember all the shit I got wrong. Remember that.
Remember that. As far as most surprising goes, there really are a few this year. Usually there's like 1, maybe 2 at the most, but sometimes it's pretty chalk. This year you look around and Broncos are obviously one of the most surprising teams, 10-7, playing the Bills. Right. The Commanders being 12-5 is insane. Like, Dan Quinn did an incredible job. Jaden Daniel.
I want to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
I am so proud of both of y'all because the 2 rookie quarterbacks that y'all spoke so highly about over all the other ones. Everybody's talking about Caleb Williams, good quarterback. But y'all talked about Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. Boys, why is On the Bluff the smartest podcast in the world?
That's Gabe Kuhn. That's the
it's Christian Fowler. It's also Kenny Stubblefield. He does a good job.
No.
And then for me, the third surprising one is the Vikings at 14-3 with Sam Darnold at quarterback. I know they had a really disappointing loss on Sunday night against the Lions to miss out on the 1 seed, but still to be 14-3 with Sam Darnold is pretty insane. Gabe, I'm going to ask you, what is your game of the week?
My game of the week? That's tough. I think I'm going to have to go with the AFC North battle. Ravens versus Steelers, just because the Steelers kind of have the Ravens number, but the Ravens are going into this game as 8.5-point favorites, and Lamar has to 10 now. Damn, they grew that much.
Yeah,
and Lamar has to prove he's a playoff quarterback. And what I will say about Lamar is, so far this year, he's doing some of the things throwing the football that you think should translate to him being a better playoff quarterback. But he's going to have to go prove that against one of the best, sturdiest, toughest defenses in the damn NFL with good pass rush.
Is Zay Flowers okay? That's a huge question.
Yeah, Zay Flowers is going to have to be healthy because, it's just tough. But I think a close second, got to be honest with you, I would go the Eagles and Packers.
No, that's not where I was going.
That's a close second for me.
Good game. I'm going Commanders Bucks. Jaden Daniels and Baker Mayfield have been two of the most fun quarterbacks in the league this year. Both of these defenses have struggled at times. Tampa Bay's secondary has been really, really bad for the majority of the season. They've got some injuries back there. The Commanders' defense has been up and down. They've had good moments, but for the most part, it's still a patchwork quilt group that Dan Quinn's put together, and they're probably still a year, maybe 2 years away from being one of the better defenses in the league. Another added bonus to this game, I don't even know if you've thought about this, Gabe, yet. If Marshawn Lattimore plays, we get Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans, which is always fun and always produces a lot of fireworks. So I just think this is the highest point total over-under of the weekend. And that's not very surprising. So it could be one of those high-scoring, back and forth, which quarterback is going to be the hero and win this game, because both of these guys have done it at various points.
I'm going to give you a hot take about Baker Mayfield. I'm just going to do it. He's a good quarterback. I'm never going to say he's a bad quarterback. But I don't have fun watching Baker Mayfield. I'm going to say it that way. I don't have fun watching him.
Really?
No.
I like watching Baker.
I don't have fun watching him.
That's crazy.
It looks like shit. It looks bad. It just
I love his escapability. The way he gets that.
It's concussion. He throws a lot of concussion balls, and he looks so rushed and
awkward,
freaky. He freaked out in the pocket half the time. His throwing motion has gotten a little whippy. It's a little weird. He's a good quarterback. But it's just random for me. I don't like watching him. I don't think he's very fun to watch.
I think he's fun. I think he's
tough. A fun personality and player, I guess, but I don't have fun watching him play quarterback.
I enjoy.
He has to drop back, get in the shotgun, start dropping.
I think Baker is one of the most, if not the most, streaky quarterback in the league.
Sure.
And that's part of it as well, because when he's hitting, when he has his games where he is on, he is a lot of fun, because he still throws some absolute ropes, and especially coming from someone that is very unassuming, and seeing him make some of the throws that he does is a lot of fun, and break some of the tackles that he breaks in the pocket, and getting out and just making kind of those backyard football plays. I like watching Baker.
I'll be honest, who I do enjoy watching quarterback wise, though, Jaden Daniels. Guy on the other side I do like watching. He's very fun to watch.
A lot of fun.
Although, good God, he tucks the ball and runs so fucking much.
And
he is so reliant on his legs. One thing I'm watching for these playoffs, though, something keep an eye on. Watch some of these running backs and the differences they make. Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry. How far can those guys continue to be successful into the playoffs?
Yeah,
those guys are going to be important, and I just can't get over Jahmyr Gibbs and Saquon Barkley.
Man, Jahmyr Gibbs, dude.
Gibbs is.
I think the thing that really just jumps off for me, they can score from anywhere on the field because their acceleration and speed. No one's catching them. They're probably 4-3 guys, both of them.
Let me ask you something. If Jahmyr Gibbs gets the workload of a Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry, do you think he's the best back in the league? I think I genuinely.
I think so. I like the train of thought you're on. I like the train of thought, but there's a reason they have David Montgomery. They don't trust him to take it 25 times a game.
Well, I don't think it's not that. I don't think it's that they don't trust him. I think it's
They want to keep him healthy.
Exactly. If you have somebody who can
trust him, but
if you have somebody who can take that workload off and kind of take the in between the tackles beatings and then let kind of the more explosive outside the tackles run. And I'm not saying he's just an outside tackles runner because he's great inside the tackles as well. So I love what they do, and I don't think they should give Jahmyr Gibbs a full workload. But I don't know if there's any other running back in the league that could produce the way that Jahmyr Gibbs does in a 50-50 timeshare. Like he's only had really 3 games.
He's got over 1,900 scrimmage yards this year
and 20 touchdowns.
Dude,
and was in a 50-50 role for 14 out of the 17 games this season.
And going back to just in general, the Lions last year, first round picks, or not first round picks, picks in the first 2 days. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta.
Nailed.
Brad Holmes should get executive of the year until he retires for that first 4 picks. That is ridiculous. That's nuts.
Okay, before we go to the last topic, real quick, Kenny, I'm gonna go predictions on everyone. So, Gabe, we'll start it off Saturday 3:30 game. Chargers Texans. Who you
got? Give me Chargers.
Yep.
Wow. Texans are not. They're not. They just not playing. CJ Stroud is at a somewhat of a sophomore slump.
Yeah. Steelers Ravens.
Give me the Ravens. I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, probably gonna be ugly. Probably gonna be close, but Ravens. Broncos Bills.
Give me the Bills. I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, I think
kind of lame, kind of chalk.
I think the Bills kind of run away with that one. Packers Eagles. Did we get an upset here?
Is Jordan Love healthy? That's the question.
Oh God. Give me the Eagles. Give me the Eagles.
I think Saquon is
at home. Give me
Saquon's the guy. Yeah.
Commanders Bucks Sunday Night Football.
See, this is the hardest one on the damn.
Yeah,
it's a tough one.
I'm gonna go Bucks. I'm gonna go with the Bucks here.
I think I'm gonna go Washington.
I'm gonna go Washington too because I want to see the command. I want to see that story continue, man.
Don't even ask me the last one. I'm taking the Rams. Rams.
Yeah,
Rams.
100%.
100% Rams.
Give me the Vikings.
No doubt.
Give me the Vikings.
In my mind, I watched Sam Darnold play quarterback last night. I know the Rams are winning that game.
It's fair because the Rams don't have a great defense, but they have a really freaking good defensive line. You talk about drafting Les Snead this year, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and then in the years past, Kobe Turner, Byron Young. He has nailed defensive line picks. I mean, moving on from Aaron Donald and having Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, and Braden Fisk is ridiculous.
Can we be honest too? Aaron Glenn just gave every team that plays the Vikings the exact blueprint of how to beat them.
But I will say to that, Kevin O'Connell is a great
but it's still Sam Darnold. As well as he's played, there's still limitations of the guy's game.
It's true.
You know what I mean? And what Aaron Glenn did is he doubled both receivers constantly in the open field, played zone coverage as soon as they got into the tight red zone, and lit them up. Yeah. So I think the Rams can play that to a T. I think they can make that happen.
It should be fun to see how they adjust to that. I mean, the Vikings aren't just going to try to do the same thing they did against Detroit because he's going against another great head coach in Sean McVay. And what's Chris Shula, their defense coordinator, done a really good job. And so I'm assuming he's watching that tape from that Detroit game and saying we can do this as well. So that to me will be the biggest. That in my opinion, that is going to be the best coaching performance we see of the entire playoff weekend. That Monday Night Football game, I think you have two of the best coaches in the league, and it's going to be a nonstop chess match.
Now, to be fair, though, I will, to a certain extent, shoot the Vikings bail here. I think Sam Darnold just missed some throws too last night. He just missed some throws that he should have made, that he has been making all year. But I thought the game plan from Aaron Glenn was phenomenal.
It was perfect. All right, Kenny.
I got 2 questions for y'all about the NFL before we move on. Gabe, for you first. You mentioned that Baker Mayfield is not an enjoyable quarterback for you to watch. Who do you enjoy less watching play quarterback?
Oh shit! I mean, there's a lot.
Baker Mayfield,
Will Levis.
No. Hold on.
Jacoby Brissett.
I'm gonna give you two. I'm gonna give you 2 playoff quarterbacks. I'm gonna give you 2. Who do you enjoy less, Baker Mayfield or Russell Wilson?
That's not the same thing. I mean, sure, I'll say Russ, but that's
Russ, dude.
I don't know, man. Russell uncorked that sucker down the
Yeah,
sideline.
We
of
get
Georgia
like
State.
one, maybe two exciting plays from Russ again.
Like,
Baker
that's
will give
kinda,
him-
can I hold that again? Like Russ in his prime?
No, right now.
Right now.
No, I'm saying like I'm talking about the player. Like if Russ in his prime, when they gave him the keys, let him play
He
some
was a lot of
offense,
fun
let
to
him-
watch.
He was way more fun to watch.
Dude,
than
the
Baker Mayfield. Right
Steelers
now, though,
are
it's like the style that the Steelers play. That's just I think any quarterback that's in that system right now, it's Arthur Smith's system. It's boring as shit.
Yeah.
So you can put prime Tom Brady, and he's gonna.
I've
he's
watched
not gonna be fun to
multiple.
watch.
I've watched multiple Steelers games this year, and I'm like this the whole time. Like, holy crap, man!
Dreadful.
Anyway, all right. My next question, Christian.
Yes.
Reports came out today that Chicago Bears have reached out to Dallas about their head coach, Mike McCarthy.
This is the most.
How much are you celebrating?
Okay,
Oh
that's a bit of a loaded question.
Okay.
This is like one of the most Bears moves of all time.
Of course it is.
100%, dude.
To ask,
I love how like the Cowboys actually have to grant permission. Like, what are we?
Yeah.
He's not even extended. He's like,
no, his
contract's
contract ends on
coming
the
up.
14th.
Jerry Jones, like, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But B, how excited am I about this? Like, am I rejoicing for this happening? No, because I feel like Jerry will absolutely screw this up and get someone worse than Mike McCarthy if Mike McCarthy leaves.
Cliff Kingsbury's out there, brother.
No, no.
That would be
Jerry's
it. That
got
would
his
be the
eye
move.
on Cliff, baby.
Right now, it looks like Vrabel's going to go to the Patriots. Right, and he interviewed for a couple jobs. Patriots fired Gerard Mayo. Everything is pointing to the Patriots.
They cleared house so they could bring in Vrabel.
And the only two coaches that I would want in this current cycle, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel. So to me, if you let McCarthy walk, it's either Ben Johnson or bust. If you go anywhere else, I would be heavily disappointed. I'd rather have
Can
Mike.
I
McCarthy.
introduce you to Todd Monken? You want a Todd
No,
Monken in your
no,
corner?
please, God, no. Do not introduce me to Todd Monken.
To a Todd Flores.
Hey, Rex Ryan he's out there. He wants a job.
That's probably what they do. They probably go get like Rex Ryan or
Hell,
Ron
hey,
Rivera.
hey, you remember your big thing? You said
Go get
that
Pete
Bill
Carroll.
Belichick may not actually coach in North Carolina.
Hey,
Bill Belichick, Cowboys job.
Bill
Come on now.
Belichick, Cowboy.
Probably rather have Bill than Mike, but it's close.
Jesus, I mean,
Wow.
some of the names that are resurfacing are disgusting. Like Cliff Kingsbury being a real name that Peter Schrager brought up on NFL Good Morning Football, whatever.
That's not as bad as freaking Rex Ryan and Ron Rivera.
Oh, I mean, sure.
Rex Ryan? No.
I mean, Rex Ryan went to 2 straight AFC championships with Mark Sanchez, dog.
A long time
That guy
ago.
can coach some
2008.
defense, brother. He can coach some
2008.
defense. Ron Rivera, hell no, we can leave him out. Cliff Kingsbury, though, why do we do this to ourselves? It's like that when people bring up Steve Spagnuolo. It's like he's better at doing what he's doing now
Let
than
him do
ever
what
being
he's
a head
doing.
coach. Stop that. It's just like Cliff. I have watched. I know what happens when he's a head coach. He starts
choke.
off hot, looks like the best team in America, and then he
They choke.
loses like 6 straight to end the year. That's what he does. Did it at Texas Tech. Did it
Arizona.
everywhere, man. Did it in Arizona. It's just who he is. And I saw Peter Schrager like he's going to be very selective about which head coaching opening vacancy he goes to. I'm like,
Just stay in Washington.
the damn teams, the franchises shouldn't be selective about even thinking about bringing him in for an interview.
Agreed. All right, Kenny. Last
All right.
topic.
Man, college football playoffs. You got this is getting down to the wire. Like it's getting down. This is the semifinals. This
We
is
have
it.
3 more games.
We have 3 more college
season.
football
Isn't that
games.
depressing? Can we say
It's
that real quick?
It is. Yeah.
Sorry.
Christian, you expressed in our pre-show meeting some disappointment in the college football playoffs.
Me?
Why are you disappointed?
I just think this hasn't been a great year. I don't think I'm not complaining about the system or anything like that. I'm not complaining about the 12 teams. It's just been kind of a lackluster year. There weren't a lot of good teams. I don't know how much the seeding played into that. Maybe it did. But it just, I don't know. There has been one good game in the entire college football playoffs.
That's because he's a good old Southern boy, and he
No.
doesn't say he's not Southern representation. Damn it!
Gabe,
Where
how
are
many,
my Ole Miss Rebels? They didn't even get a look.
Gabe, how many good games have there been in the college football? Tell me, how many good games have there been? One.
One, yeah.
Arizona State and
There
Texas has been the only good game so far. And sometimes that's just how it shakes out. Like, you can't complain too much about that. But coming down to Notre Dame and Penn State, I don't think either one of those teams are championship caliber. I think Oregon would have beaten
Maybe,
either
dude,
one of those
Drew Allen,
teams.
Riley Leonard matchup, dude. Hell yeah.
I think Texas would beat either one of those teams. I think Oregon would have beat either one of those teams. I don't know. It's not. I think Georgia probably would have beat either one of those teams. It's not. Arizona State probably would have beat both of those teams. It's not the most exciting, but here we are.
Ratings in the southern part of the United States are going to be shit. They're going to be horrible.
Because it's going to be
right below the Mason-Dixon line.
no viewership whatsoever.
Good Lord, man. They're going to be terrible.
Unless
I think the frustrating part of what you're saying is I mostly agree. But the most frustrating part is Ohio State was always the team.
Yes.
They were always the team, but they played
Preseason.
like shit 2 weeks out of the year. Or not,
Yeah.
didn't really play like shit against Oregon. Oregon was just really good that day. But they lost games when they shouldn't have. Because Ryan Day is Ryan Day, and that's sort of what he does year to year. That's the frustrating thing. It's to me, I think it's Ohio State's national championship to lose.
Yeah.
They already
By
handled business
a
against
mile.
one of the two opponents that they could potentially play in the Natty in Penn State. They went to Penn State and won by 7. And I don't even particularly think I never watched when watching that game. I didn't think Penn State was ever going to win.
Yeah, no.
So like I don't know. That's why it's a little frustrating because you get down to the Final Four and it just feels like Ohio State's right there, ready to go.
So what do you got? Ohio State, Notre Dame? Is that your?
I have Ohio State, Notre Dame. Ohio State wins.
Yeah. The Penn State Notre Dame, to me, it's a toss-up. I feel like kind of in the same boat with you. Ohio State's, I don't know if they're going to roll Texas. I think they'll handle them pretty well. Maybe 7 to 10 points, they'll win that game. Could be wrong because Texas goes on these long droughts where they can't do anything offensively. But Notre Dame, Penn State is like the Spider-Man meme to me.
Well,
They're the same team.
Can we be honest though about Penn State? I don't think it'll ever get easier for them to get to a national championship.
Never. And they're
SMU, Boise State, Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're not that good. They're really not that good of a team this year.
No, they're fine. They're
Drew
fine.
Allard-
I will say this, like, if it is Ohio State, Penn State, obviously that's the Big Ten Bowl. You know, people are going to hype up the Big Ten until next year. But I think that's potential vindication for both coaches, but definitely vindication for James Franklin.
Right. Yeah.
Like everybody's been questioning, can he get to the big game and potentially win it? But if you get to the national championship as James Franklin with Ohio State spending $20 million at NIL, you take that as a dub. Now, Ryan Day ain't going to get vindicated until he wins it. He's going to win it.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give you a 2-part question, and then we're going to get out of here. And this is loosely related to the college football playoff. A, how good is Jeremiah Smith in your opinion? B, by the time he makes it to the, what would that be, the 2027 NFL draft, will he be the best wide receiver prospect?
Bubba.
At least in our lifetimes, possibly of all time.
Dude, it's so funny because usually when I log on to social media and go through Twitter and people are like, oh yeah, he's Barry Sanders. Like they bring up like these Hall of Fame names of people. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That is insane. It's ridiculous. The name that kept surfacing on Jeremiah Smith was Julio Jones. Ooh. And to be completely honest, in any normal situation, I'd be like, that is blasphemous. Shut the hell up. This guy had 12 receptions for 300 yards and a touchdown 1 week when he was playing for the Falcons. He was unreal.
Yeah.
But I can't unsee it now. Like ever since that Oregon game, I cannot unsee the Julio Jones, Jeremiah Smith comp. It's so dead on. It is 100%. It's like almost a reincarnation.
Yeah.
So answer the question. Will he be the best wide receiver prospect in our lifetime? by the time he comes out.
We'll see. We'll see. But he's pretty damn close. In our lifetime is kind of tough. Calvin Johnson was drafted in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But he's pretty damn close. He should be a number 1 overall pick in all likelihood. Like that's the type of guy he is.
100%. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He is.
Like, I gotta be honest. He's a freshman. That's like can't miss.
He's a can't miss. He would be the first wide receiver drafted this year and next year, bar none. Yeah. No questions asked. Right now, if he came out at 19 years old, he'd be the first wide receiver and a top 3 pick at worst, maybe higher
this
than that.
Year, this year, obviously the Titans are picking first. They need a quarterback, so that'd be different. But like I could make a case for him if he came out this year as the number 1 overall prospect.
Yeah, agreed.
Not picked at number 1, but the number 1 overall. Like this guy is going to succeed at the next level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Couldn't agree more.
Real quick, before we move on from the college football playoffs. Christian, you said earlier the seeding. You don't want to talk about the seeding, whatever. Does it make a difference to y'all that in the semifinals of the college football playoffs, the first year of the semifinals, that the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8 seeds are in the semifinals, that the top 4 are out? Does that change? I know we've beat this subject to death, but that has to be a point proven that the seeding system needs to change, right?
Well, because the overall college football playoff 3 and 4 ranking are in, though.
Yes.
So that's where it's been stupidity.
Right.
It's very much stupidity.
Yeah. I don't really. I agree.
Greg Sankey and Petiti are changing that immediately.
Yeah.
They're not gonna let another season go by with these rules.
No, definitely not. All right, boys. Well, let's call it a night. We appreciate you guys for joining us. If you are watching on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and comment there. If you're listening via podcast, whether that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, you can do the same there. You can also head over to bluffcitymedia.co, check out all the articles, podcasts, and videos on the site. Once again, we appreciate you guys for joining us, and we will see you back here next week.
Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.